Good morning students. Today in this video we'll learn how to handle the event generated by a button. As we have already discussed different types of events and the listeners which are used to handle those events. There are basically three different components in an event handling. One is the event source, which is nothing but the component which generates the event. Second is the event, which is the object that describes the state change of an event. And finally is the event listener, which handles the event, which performs different actions when a particular event occurs. So today in this video we'll learn how to handle the event which is generated by clicking on a button. So we have already discussed button generates action event, and the same action event is generated when we click on a menu item. So today we'll learn how to handle the event which is generated when we click on a button. So on the screen you can see there is some output. Here in this output you can find one button with a text on it as a click, and immediately on the right hand side of a button is a text field. So today in this program our aim is when the user clicks on this button with the name click, there is some text which should appear in the text field. Initially the text field is empty, but when we click on this button, some welcome message should come on this text field. So quickly we'll write the program for the same. So as we are dealing with a button and a label, these are the AWT components. So we need to import the package of AWT. It is an applet, so importing the applet package. Then we will be handling the event generated by a button. So we are importing again a package called as java.awt.event. This is the normal applet code which is required to set the size and width of a applet. From here the actual program begins. So this is the class name, public class event applet. Event applet is the class name. We are designing an applet, so it is extends applet, but along with the applet we need to be a subclass of a action listener. So action listener is an interface. So all the listeners are the interface, and we need to implement those listeners in order to handle the events. So button generates action event. So to handle action event we need to implement action listener. So immediately after writing extends applet, we are writing implements action listener. If we are handling some other event, then we'll write the accordingly different listener. On the applet there are only two components, button and a text field. So here we have declared button B, then a text field TF. Now within init we'll define these two objects, button and a text field. So TF equal to new text field, and in bracket there is a 20. Here the 20 indicates the number of characters which can be entered in this text field. That is nothing but a size of a text field, the number of characters which could be entered. B equal to new button, it is the text which should appear on the button, which is nothing but a click. Now we are adding button and then we are adding the text field, but we want our button to register with the listener. Why there is a need of registration? Because we want action listener to be available when the button is clicked. So action listener should be notified when the button is clicked. So button has to be registered with a listener. So to register a component with a listener, the simple method is used. The component object, which is nothing but a b dot add action listener, and in bracket you need to pass the object of the current object, which is nothing but this. So to register any component with any listener, you have to write the component object name dot add and the corresponding listener name, which is nothing but, in our case here is action listener, and in bracket you need to write this. Now with this point, you have registered the listener with the button. But when button will be clicked, this listener will perform some action. So for that, we have to implement all the methods which are present under this interface. As we know, the action listener interface has only one method which we are supposed to override here is nothing but a action performed. So after init, we need to override the method action performed. In this method, we'll write the code which will happen when the button is clicked. And here we want some message in this text field when we click on the button. So the task is very simple. We just want to set some text in this text field when the button is clicked. So when the button is clicked, immediately this method is invoked. So the prototype of this method is public void action performed, and in bracket is the action event object, which is nothing but E. What we want on the click, we want the text, some text on this text field which is empty. At present this is empty. We want some text. What text? Consider the text as welcome. So the method which is used to set the text in a text field is set text. So we'll write tf. tf is the object of a text field which we have already created. tf dot set text, and in bracket we are passing the text which we want to be displayed in a text field. It is that simple. So when you click on this button, this line of code will execute. What is the line of the code? The line of code is simply to set the text in a text field. So this is the very basic type of event handling. Like when you click on the button, some message should come in the text field. Okay, so important steps in handling events are, you need to register the listener. The first step is you need to implement the listener. The first step in the program is you need to implement the responsible listener. Second important step is you need to register the listener with the component. With this step, with this line of code, you have to register the listener with the component. And the final and the important step is to override all the methods of the listener. Here luckily in action listener there is only one method which we have to override, which is action performed. And within this method you will define and you will write the code which you want to happen when the button is clicked. Here the only thing we want is we need to set the text of the text field to welcome. Now quickly we'll compile and run the program and see whether it works or it doesn't work. So here is the command prompt. First I'll compile the program. javac event applet.java. That's successfully compiled. Now I am running this applet viewer event applet.java. See, this applet has turned up. There is a button with a click name on it and there is an empty text field. Now when I click on this button, a welcome message should come in this text field. I've clicked on the button and the welcome message has come. So this is the simplest form of handling action event. Action event is generated when the button is clicked. Thank you.